Hi friends and Israel fans, come and join me in another episode of Israel with Moshe. We're seated here in this Roman theater. We're going to talk a little bit about public buildings for public use in the Roman culture. See, when Romans built a city, they built it exactly the same wherever they went. In Rome, in Israel, in England, in France, all Roman cities look the same. There's two streets. One goes from east to south, one goes from east to west, one goes from north to south. Those are called cardo, the main shopping streets. In the center, in the meeting point of those two streets, you have the public buildings for public use. Why do you need public buildings for public use? Because Romans thought if people have lots of time, and Roman citizens had lots of free time because there were lots of slaves to do all your work. And if you had wars, when people lost, they became your slaves. So slaves was not a problem. You had as many slaves as you wanted. There were Roman soldiers to do all your wars, and so as a citizen you had no responsibility, and if you have no responsibility you might start thinking, why Caesar, why not me? And that creates problems. So the concept of Rome was bread and circuses, bread and entertainment. Keep people fat, keep them entertained, they won't rebel against you. And to keep them entertained you have to build all those public areas so people will have something to do. So when you look at the center of a city, you'll see that the center has a bathhouse, like a spa. It has shopping areas. It has a hippodrome for horse races. It has an amphitheater for gladiator fights. It has a theater where we're seated right now. And people would wake up in the morning, they would go and visit all those facilities, and at the end of the day, they will go home and say, wow, this was a really hard day, let's prepare for tomorrow. And this way, you would keep people loyal to you, people entertained, keep people fed, keep them loyal, but you also would give the people a sense of belonging. They belong to the Roman Empire. Roman Empire wanted to create a global culture. In our world today, when you want to be part of a global culture, then you speak English, you watch MTV, you drink Coke, you eat McDonald's, you think that you're part of a global culture. That's the same in Rome. You spoke Greek or Roman, you had Latin names, you built your houses in Roman style, and your whole culture was Roman style, and that's where you felt that you're part of Rome. And when you feel that you're part of Rome, you pay taxes, and you had no problem with paying taxes. So we'll talk later about the hippodrome. We might mention the amphitheater for gladiator fights, but a theater, this is where we seated now, is a very, very important part of Roman culture. This theater was not only for entertainment purposes, it was educational. People would come to this theater, and on the stage there would be shows played only by men, by the way, who would change their facial expressions holding masks. This is why the Greek word for actors is a hypocrite. And those people would show you daily situations and how it gets so complicated that it seems like there's no solution. In the final scene, the God shows up from stage, he solves all your problems. You understand that the interference of gods in your life is very, very important. That's gods in plural because the Romans were pagan and they believed for many, many gods. Each god had a different role in Roman mythology. And this is, by the way, the main reason why Jews were not allowed to come into Roman theaters, because the rabbis, the leaders, did not want the Jews to be influenced by this idea of paganism. This theater looks just exactly the same as any other theater in the Roman Empire. Before it was excavated, it was covered to the top with sand. When they excavated, they realized that 90% of this theater is actually original, except for the sitting benches. Those were made from marble, and they were taken by the Muslims to build the city in Akko. That's called secondary use in archaeology. We had to replace those marble seats. We use this today as an open theater in summertime for shows and performances on stage. This theater seats somewhere between 3,700 people, and if you estimate one seat in a theater to equal 10 or 15 people in the city, we're talking about a city of 35,000 to 50,000. That's a major city. Before we mentioned that Caesarea was the capital of the Romans, the headquarters of the Romans. Think about a very, very planned Roman city with 50,000 people, with everything that you can think about in a Roman city, and think that this was all built, this was a vision and dream and built by King Herod the Great. This theater, the acoustic here is amazing, and when you stand in the middle of the theater and speak softly, your voice could be heard all over. All Roman theaters had beautiful acoustic. In fact, there's a research done about Roman theaters that shows that Romans were masters in creating acoustic. It has to do a lot with the arches that you see and with the half circle shape of the theater. Don't confuse this with an amphitheater, because amphi means two and amphitheater means an ovalic for gladiator fight. This is a half circle. This is a theater, theological shows, entertainment, and definitely one of the most important places in Roman culture. People would come here every day, at least a couple of hours a day, to be influenced and get the idea of Roman culture and Roman gods.